Trees, ornaments, lights, candles, wreaths, holly, mistletoe, poinsettias, the list goes on and on. Objects we use to decorate our homes this time of year. My favorite has always been the nativity scene, the creche. So much so that I've collected a variety of such scenes over the years. Many of them are displayed year-round in our home and in my office at the church. There's a beautiful, intricately carved olive wood set from the Holy Land. The diorama of Renaissance-style figures created by ladies in the first church I served after seminary. The white iridescent set that was made by a friend and co-worker of my father some 45 years ago. Then, of course, there is the tiny little set I purchased while in Haiti. Tiny figures made of clay. I can still remember the woman selling them, 2 sets she had. One apparently didn't have a baby Jesus figure for the manger, and she told me she would give me a really good deal on that one. I told her that I thought it was best to pay the extra to get the one with the baby. There are many theories where the tradition of the Christmas creche came from, but it's most often attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, who in 1223 or 1224 celebrated the Feast of the Nativity in a new way that ultimately evolved into the tradition we remember even today. Francis, renowned for his love of animals, after receiving permission from the Pope, erected the first one during Christmas in a cave outside the town where he lived in Italy. It was not a handcrafted or modern type of crib, but a live scene. When people gathered to watch the spectacle, Francis stood in front of the manger and would recite the gospel relating the scene, and then would deliver a sermon. Over time, the custom of creating small figures and displaying them in homes became a tradition as well. We all know the standard set, don't we? Mary, Joseph, baby Jesus, 3 wise men, a few shepherds, an angel, camels, donkeys, cattle, and sheep. If you have a larger, more elaborate scene, you may have townspeople, an innkeeper, a drummer boy, and even more barnyard-type animals. Of course, the problem with our nativity scenes is they recreate a scene that probably didn't occur the way we remember it. Other than Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, we don't know who was there and when. We know the wise men and shepherds weren't there at the same time. There's no mention of animals in the scriptures. Were they there? Probably, but we don't know for certain. As for anyone else, it doesn't say. And this much we can be sure of. When shepherds and wise men did visit, they didn't stand hovering over the baby for an extended period of time. And I think anyone who has gone to Sunday school or church over the years understands that to be true. Nevertheless, we continue to put our nativities out each holiday season, carefully position all of the players in their traditional spots as a way of helping us remember the birth of Christ. Why? Now, I'm not pointing this out to say that we should dismantle our nativity scenes or pack them away, just the opposite. I've been racking my brain this December trying to figure out just why it is so important to have all of those extras around baby Jesus at Christmas. And I finally think I figured it out. The appeal of the nativity scene, that is, most, if not all, other symbols of the season, ultimately are reminders of what God has done for us at Christmas. Candles are symbols of the light of the world come into our lives. Trees, evergreens, remind us of the eternal nature of God. Even things like candy canes remind us God in Christ as a good shepherd cares for his children. The white of the cane reminds us of Christ's purity, the red, the blood he has shed for us all. But the creche is a symbol of a moment in time, ever so brief as it may have been, when humanity is able to help God. The idea of a defenseless baby in a cold manger troubles us so much that I believe we want to surround him with wise men and shepherds and others lowing animals, angelic observers, so that he's protected and cared for and loved. I think the nativity scene tradition is our simple statement of concern for and love of a Savior. And the reality is that God didn't need any help that night. He could have done it all by himself, and he doesn't need any help today either. But God allows us to participate in Christmas. God allows us to participate in the story then and now as his present to us. That's right, we get to share in the true meaning of Christmas when we do what we can to welcome the Christ child into our hearts and homes each year. That's correct. The nativity scene is the ongoing reminder that God uses Christmas to remind us that he loves us enough, that he allows us the opportunity to share with him in the joy of sharing Christ with others. Let me share with you a beautiful story I came across called the nativity scene. About a week before Christmas in Chicago in the early 1930s, a family bought a new nativity scene. When they unpacked it, they found, of all things, 2 figures of baby Jesus. Someone packed the boxes incorrectly. Mother said, well, we have 1 Joseph, 1 Mary, 3 wise men, 3 shepherds, 2 lambs, a donkey, a cow, an angel, and 2 babies. Oh dear, I suppose some set down at the store is missing a baby Jesus because we have 2. You 2 run back down to the store. Tell the manager that we have an extra Jesus. Tell him to put a sign on the remaining boxes saying that if a set is missing a baby Jesus, call 7126. Put on your warm coats. It's freezing cold out there. Well, the manager of the store copied down the mother's message. And the next time they were in the store, they saw the cardboard sign that read, if you're missing baby Jesus, call 7126. All week long, they waited for someone to call. Surely they thought someone was missing that important figurine. Each time the phone rang, Mother would say, I'll bet that's about Jesus. But it never was. Father tried to explain there are thousands of those scattered all over the country. The figurine could be missing from a set in Florida or Texas or California. Those packing mistakes happen all the time. He suggested we just put the extra Jesus back in the box and forget about it. Put baby Jesus back in the box? What a terrible thing to do, said the children. Surely someone will call, Mother said. We'll just keep the 2 of them together in the manger until someone calls. When no call had come by 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve, Mother insisted that Father just run down to the store. See if there are any sets left. If you can see them right through the window over the counter, she said, if they're all gone, I'll know someone is bound to call tonight. Run down to the store, Father thundered. It's 15 below zero out there. Oh, Daddy, we'll go with you, Tommy and Mary began to put on their coats. Father gave a long sigh, headed for the front closet. I can't believe I'm doing this, he muttered. Tommy and Mary ran ahead of the father, who reluctantly walked out into the cold. Mary got to the store first and pressed her nose up to the store window. They're all gone, Daddy, she shouted. Every set must be sold. Hooray, Tommy said. The mystery will now be solved tonight. Father heard the news, still half a block away, immediately turned on his heel and he headed back home. When they got back to the house, they noticed Mother was gone. And so was the extra baby Jesus figurine. Someone must have called, and she went out to deliver the figurine, Father reasoned, pulling off his boots. You kids get ready for bed while I wrap Mother's present. And then the phone rang. Father yelled, answer the phone, tell him we found a home for Jesus. But it was Mother calling with instructions to come to 205 Chestnut Street immediately. Bring 3 blankets, a box of cookies, and some milk. Now what has she gotten us into? Father groaned as we bundled up again. 205 Chestnut, that's across town. Wrap the milk up good in the blankets or it'll turn to ice before you get here. Why can't we all just get on with Christmas? It's probably 20 below out there now. The wind is picking up. Of all the crazy things to do on a night like this. And when they got to the house at 205 Chestnut Street, it was the darkest one on the block. Only one tiny light burned in the living room, and the moment we set foot on the porch steps, Mother opened the door and shouted, "They're here. Oh, thank God you got here, Ray. You kids, take those blankets into the living room. Wrap up the little ones on the couch. I'll take the milk and cookies." "Would you mind telling me what's going on, Ethel?" my father asked. "We've just walked through below zero weather with the wind in our faces all the way." "Never mind all that now," my mother interrupted. "There's no heat in this house. This young mother is so upset she doesn't know what to do. Her husband walked out on her, and these poor little children will have a very bleak Christmas. So don't you complain. I told her you could fix the oil furnace in a jiffy." My mother strode off into the kitchen to warm the milk while my brother and I wrapped up the 5 little children who huddled together on the couch. The children's mother explained to my father that her husband had run off, taking bedding, clothing, almost every piece of furniture. But she had been doing all right until the furnace broke down. "I've been doing washing and ironing for people and cleaning the 5 and dime," she said. "I saw your number every day there on the boxes on the counter. And when the furnace went out, that number kept going through my mind, 7162, 7162. Said on the box that if a person was missing Jesus, they should call you. Well, that's how I knew you were good Christian people willing to help folks. I figured that maybe you'd help me. So I stopped at the grocery store tonight and I called your missus. I'm not missing Jesus, mister, because I sure love the Lord, but I am missing heat. I have no money to fix that furnace." Okay, said Father. "You've come to the right place. Now let's see. You've got a little oil burner over there in the dining room. Shouldn't be too hard to fix. Probably just a clogged flue. I'll look it over, see what it needs." Mother came into the living room carrying a plate of cookies and warm milk. As she set the cups down on the coffee table, I noticed the figure of baby Jesus lying in the center of the table. It was the only sign of Christmas in the house. The children stared wide-eyed with wonder at that plate of cookies my mother set before them. Father finally got the oil burner working, but said, "You need more oil." "I'll make a few calls tonight and get some oil." "Yes, sir. You came at the right place," Father grinned. On the way home, Father did not complain about the cold weather and had barely set foot inside the door when he was on the phone. Ed, hey. Merry Christmas. Yeah, sure. Ed, we have a kind of unusual situation here. I know you've got that pickup truck. Do you still have some oil in that barrel on the truck? You do. By this time, the rest of the family were pulling clothes out of closets, toys off of shelves. It was long after the bedtime when they were wrapping the gifts. The pickup came. On it were chairs, lamps, blankets, gifts for a hurting family. And the author then went on to say, "No one ever did call about the missing figure in that nativity set. But as I grow older, I realize that it wasn't a packing mistake at all." This year, instead of packing up the nativity set with the rest of the decorations after Christmas, consider leaving it out as a reminder of all that God has done for you, and as a reminder of all that you can and should do for him. Christmas doesn't end tomorrow. It's only just begun. "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace."